Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Star Wars Lads. Today, we are finally getting you guys our review of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the latest Star Wars single player game from Respawn. All of you at this point have either probably played the game, heard reviews, so we're gonna make this review a story spoiler review. So if you haven't played the game, obviously, you should probably click off, save this video for later, go play the game or at least watch all the cutscenes, know the story before you get into our deep discussion on the story. We'll give you guys a score at the end, our review of the game score. We're gonna dive into all that. Make sure you're hitting that like button though before we do that, and you're subscribing to the channel for more Jedi Survivor coverage. We are streaming the game twice a week, every single week. So if you want to follow along with our streams, make sure you stay tuned for that every single Tuesday and Thursday. Also, check out some of the other videos we posted. We just posted our Dark Force Rising review, and then we have more High Republic stuff coming for you soon, and a tier list for the month about Legends characters we want to see most in canon. Without further ado, let's get into the game review. So we've only ever done one game review on this channel. It was for Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. It was over a year ago. So we didn't really have a format for it. We're going to dive in here just mainly like we do in our book reviews. We're going to start out with the plot here. Let's talk about the narrative of Jedi Survivor. Sanak, across the entire narrative, give me some of the things that you liked the most about it, some of the plot points you enjoyed, didn't enjoy. What was your review of the narrative of Jedi Survivor?
I would say for Jedi Survivor, I was pretty much captivated for like 80% of the story. I think there is a part of the story that's a little too compressed that leaves the ending landing solidly, but maybe not so confident or assured. If there's one thing that Jedi Fallen Order story definitely does better is that it really sticks its landing. Here, I thought the ending where you fight Bode, Kata becomes adopted into the new family. It's good. And I really enjoyed playing on Tanalor. I felt that I needed like another 2 hours of story there. It's not from the Tanalor stuff specifically, but it's where Cal is tracking Bode back to the ISB base. And the ISB base, yeah, it's like an hour of content, but I felt like it could have been two or three. But I just wanted more. I wanted more from the ISB. I think his name is Kevin or something. I just want a little bit more of like the backstabbing, more of like the infighting of the Empire to kind of fight these Jedi. That was a really interesting plot point. It just wasn't as big as I was hoping, as long as I was hoping. It sucks a little bit because that's where we really start getting to Cal's like touching to the darkness. And he has some good interactions with Mare in there, but another hour or two of like really diving into that, I think would have really made this whole game stand so strong. I would say the first 80% was better than Jedi Fallen for sure. The villains, I would say, are a little weaker. I liked Ravis, but I didn't think he ended as strongly as I hope. Dagon, I mean, he's great as a villain. I really like how maniacal he is. I just wish we got to have him a little longer. That was my only complaint there. This is definitely the High Republic Jedi that everyone wants to know more about and hopefully get picked up in like a phase 3 or a phase 4 of the books. I really liked everything on Kobo, like the discovery of the High Republic stuff there. The Shattered Moon, I thought was a really compelling place to visit as well. I also really enjoyed having the whole Jeddah storyline. Marin and Cal is a thing most people will take away, and there's an amazing action sequence out of it that I mean that's head and above shoulders for both games as one of the most iconic moments. But I also really appreciated like the amount of connective tissue that Jedi specifically has to Jedi Fallen Order because we have Master Cordova brought back and I think we're all kind of led to think that he's dead. I know they say he just left, but you'd assume the purge or something might have happened. But seeing him alive, that was wonderful. He gives some really cool like lore bits, like how he was friends with Qui-Gon and Qui-Gon like showed him around, connects you to the previous game and to the prequels in a way that Sarah and Cal really never can. I'd say Jedi Fallen Order still has more compelling villains kind of pulling the strings there, but the world where Cal is, his connections that he's making, the betrayals that he faces from Bode, the shocking opening, like all that stuff felt like a very strong middle chapter. It really just does for me just comes down to the ISB based storyline, feeling that it just needed a little bit of a power boost and a little bit more time to make all the story beats with the characters and with the general plot go well. Because once that happens, then we kind of just skip into the Tanlore stuff, and that's a big cutscene. I didn't mind that, but it felt like we'd barely gotten much out of the ISP storyline, anyways, and we're already rushing into it.
I agree with you a lot on the end of the game. The game deliberately deceives the player to making you think, okay, you're fighting Dagon, that is the last part of the game. He is the final boss. When that twist happened, the Bode twist happens, I think it actually works quite well. The problem is that I think the game is caught in between really trying to decide, okay, do we want this to be the midway point or even the three-quarter point and add on another 5, 6 hours to this game where we really explore Bode's backstory, we really explore who Bode is, what makes him tick, why he would do something like this. Is he a Jedi? Is he an Inquisitor? All of those things kind of just fall on you immediately when Cal makes it through the ISB. I think it would have been nice to slowly unravel that mystery. Right now, players are averaging clocking this game into about 19 hours if you just play the main story. I think that's about what Fallen Order was, if not a little more. So I would have been okay with this game being 4 or 5 hours longer. I think you could have added at least 3, 4 hours to the post twist part of this game that really would have helped not only the suddenness and like sadness of Cordova and Seer's deaths, but just the tragedy of what happened to the Hidden Path and also the full betrayal of Bode. Cal in this game is much more mature. He's straddling that line between the light and the dark, which I actually really, really liked. And so he's very one track minded, and they do a good job of getting the player one track minded post Bode betrayal, where you don't really want to go explore anything else. You want to just go after this guy. But on the other hand, this game, I'm torn between which one I like more with Fallen Order and Survivor's story because I think I've always criticized Fallen Orders for being an extremely safe Star Wars story. The Dark Times has been overly explored, in my opinion, but I think what Fallen Order does really well, it builds some wonderful characters and it creates a sense of family and a sense of tragedy that not too many other Star Wars games have ever been able to master. What Survivor does, though, is it gave me what I wanted. It was let's take these characters and let's throw them into planets we've never seen before. Let's throw them into mythology we've never seen before. Let's create our own mythology while piggybacking off of other things from canon. And in that way, I think it really, really succeeds. I really like that they explore new things here. And I like that the story is setting up for the third game to really dive even further into High Republic mythology, Tanalorr. How can we take these things from this game, similar to what Dave Filoni did with Ahsoka and the World Between Worlds, similar to him sending Ezra off with Thrawn into the unknown regions. Now we're going to take these characters and take them basically completely out of the galaxy for all of the original trilogy. And now there's a lot of excitement towards the possibility of maybe them coming back. But let's talk about the characters. This game does centralize on Cal Kestis. It is a Cal game through and through, where the first game, even though you play as Cal, it's an ensemble story. It's very much so about the different perspectives of the Jedi collapsing in Order 66 and what it's done to different people. This is a Cal story. This is full on Cal, and you get other perspectives in the game, but it's not necessarily from other characters' perspectives. We go in and out of characters very fast. Sonic, what were your thoughts on all of the returning characters, but also the new characters like Bode, like even some of the more fun characters like Turgle, but also Dagan Gera and Ravis, all of the characters we got in this game. Who stood out to you? Who are your favorites?
This is a game that definitely has less notable big characters, but more fun supporting NPCs that really flesh out the world of Jedi Survivor, the worlds that they occupy. Cal is great. I loved him in the first game, but he is defined by his trauma, and it's about him moving on. And he's had 5 years. He's been on this fight, and especially reading Jedi Battle Scars, his storyline there, his focus, and his determination to just stick it to the Empire. That's the strongest storyline you can take out of that book, and it really fleshes out why he is the way he is, really pushing him to already on the edge after having his whole crew die from the start. It was very awesome. I mean, the opening shot with him and everything, that's so cinematic. It was very fun. His evolution is great though. The one thing I wished we got was a little bit more of the flashbacks that we got hinted at, like when he learned new force powers and like remembered, I guess, new force powers. It was stuff that apparently I guess he kind of knew with Seer, or like he understood what Seer was trying to tell him, and then it like activated. His whole dynamic with Marin was great here. I mean, you love it in the first game because it's fun banter here, but Marin especially has grown to a point where they have some very strong emotional moments. I really liked his relationship with Bode, and shows that he has the best qualities. Cal has the best qualities of a Jedi, to be trusting, to open, to be willing. That betrayal really bringing out some of the greater darkness. And it works well because Bode is really tied into the whole Imperial fight, how he's been sticking it to them. But from the start, Bode has been undermining him, killing the people that he loved, and all that. It really makes his darkness almost justified compared to most Jedi. I love what they did with Cal. I like where they ended him almost being like an adopted father to Kata, and this almost like mom dad relationship with Marin. I want to see more of them. I really liked Grease in this game. I liked how different he was, instead of just the guy being the gambler, getting in trouble, and he goes to being like, yeah, he's the normal guy. He's been worn down more than Seer or Marin. He's grown, he's matured. I really like that. Seer, great. I wish he just had a little bit more with her and Master Cordova again, but what we had from them was insane. And Seer really showcased just how powerful she was. Marin is great. I thought the reception to Marin would be a little bit more mixed after people's mixed thoughts on battle scars and her like relationship that she has in that story. Here, I felt like the payoff to her travels, the payoffs to that spark in her life being reignited instead of just revenge, really showed. She'd matured. She'd also just been happy. She felt like a very happy character in this. Like she still has her bite, she still has her humor. Like just like how Cal had to mature and grow up and go away from just sticking to ideals. Marin had to just understand herself and be more than just her anger. Cage, I'd say, is a pretty interesting character, but she is very much the bounty hunter. Skuastev, love him, but Turgle has my heart. I love everyone in the cantina, but Turgle, great design. I love him. He's an idiot, but he's a lovable idiot all the same.
That is true. There are a lot of things, again, to harken back on world design and gameplay in this. The use of extraneous NPC dialogue I think works really really well, and it makes characters like Scuba Steph, Cage, Turgle, all those characters stand out because unlike Fallen Order, you can really spend the time to explore and get to know these characters, to do things for them, to understand a lot of different aspects of their life. You can grow your cantina, you can build it up with people from all over the galaxy. There's a lot of fun stuff to be had there that really enhanced the characterizations of a lot of characters here. Cal, he was a character in the first game that I found interesting, but because of the Trilla storyline with Seer, I always felt like Trilla and Seer were far more interesting than Cal. He was kind of a vehicle towards that story. He was the pure-hearted good Jedi who had been through a lot, but he was still down to his roots, a Jedi through and through, versus Seer and Trilla falling on opposite sides of the Order 66 like divide, where you're trying to hide your identity or you fully embraced your darkness. But Cal in this game has become one of my favorite Jedi. I think he rides that line between light and dark so well. It is very interesting. And by the time we get to the end, there is a good case for him to be one of those gray Jedi we keep talking about. Cal is somebody that we could see, especially with Marin as his other half, really, really ride that line and embrace the darkness, embrace the light. Not necessarily being a Jedi and sparing everyone. I think from even the opening scene when he fights the Ninth Sister and then he says her name to her and gets her in a rage and then says, "I'm going to set you free," and kills her. I think that is the Cal we see this entire game continue to confront himself with Dagon as the character whose obsession with one particular goal mirrors what Cal sees in himself as his obsession, and he starts to analyze himself and discover himself. I think it all worked extremely, extremely well. Marin, on the other hand, we get more of her. We get far more of her than the game would have led you to believe with trailers. She was left out of all the initial marketing, and she's actually quite a big character in this game. Grease was another character that Battle Scars for me. Grease was my favorite part of Battle Scars. I loved his perspective. Having him be the one that is wanting to just move on, wants everybody to be safe, kind of is now the like pop-up era of the group, and it also plays well off of Battle Scars, something that I'm glad I read that book for. Knowing how he lost his arm, knowing his journey through that story, I think actually plays quite well into Survivor, and one of the better characters through that. books lens. And then Seer, again, like Sonic mentioned, Cordova and Seer, I'm just waiting for them to announce any time a comic series about them like we originally got with Fallen Order. We need more about them and the Hidden Path in these 4 years. I want to know way more about Seer because the Hidden Path in general, I think, is a really unique concept. But having two Jedi Masters active at this time, working in this environment, I want to see more about them reuniting, what happened, what their journeys were like, how they reconnect with Marin, all of those different things. I think could make a wonderful book. Give us even like a Seer DLC to this game because we already got Seer as a playable character. I'd love to see that backstory shown in a DLC or something like that. Give us 3, 4, 5 hours of it. And when we get to Bode, I think they did a great job with really getting you to trust Bode. I did not see the twist coming either. I did want way more. Like, I want to know his past. I want to know, where did he get his red lightsaber? Was he given it by the Empire? Did he believe the crystal himself? How deep is his darkness? I found certain things really endearing though about him because his relationship with Cal, even after the twist, it still feels real. The what he's telling him when he tells him to go back and save Seer from Darth Vader, that's heartbreaking because oh, maybe if Cal did, he could have. That stuff is good. Teaching him how to use a blaster. There's a lot of things he does that go beyond just building trust in the group. There is actually a friendship there that gets destroyed. Bode is voiced by the same and acted by the same actor who plays Vice Admiral Rampart in Bad Batch, and I actually could never really unhear that voice. When it comes to the High Republic stuff, Ravis, the Bedlam Raiders, Dagan Gera, I thought all of them were good elements of the game. Dagan seemed like a character that was pretty one note, and I'm waiting for more backstory from him. When we started to approach that initial ending, I was a bit disappointed because I'm like, okay, this is an extremely one note villain. Doesn't seem like somebody who's actually putting up as much of a fight with Cal as I thought. There's a lot of things that I just felt didn't necessarily make that story nearly as compelling as what we get towards the end, but that story is the vast majority of the story. We'll hopefully get that story at some point here in the future. Let's wrap up our review, though. Let's talk about our final thoughts on this game and give it a score out of 5. Sonic, what would you give the game overall? Here's a chance to talk about some gameplay as well. Give us your full review.
It lived up to the hype. I think it definitely did. I know we've had the performance issues and all that. It's a fantastic sequel. We have our small issues with it here and there, like pacing, wanting things to be a little bit more fleshed out, spend more time with certain characters at certain points. I think the gameplay improved on it. It didn't remove anything. That's great. People have already lauded the gameplay, and I agree. Love the story, just needed a little bit more from the ISB. I love the characters here, a lot more richness to the world. It's a great game. It introduces people to High Republic as well. It puts Cal, like you said, this gray area. If I give like Jedi Fallen Order like a light 4, I would give this like a 4.2. It does enough to be a little bit better, but this game is nothing to scoff at. I mean, you can pick and choose which one you like, but if you want the full package, this one does just a little bit more in every regard.
With Star Wars games, there are very, very few that really stand out as games that are fantastic in the world of video games or are just fantastic for Star Wars games. I feel like Fallen Order straddled that line. I think Survivor goes to the other side. I think Survivor joins the ranks of stuff like Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2005. Games that are iconic for what they do rather than just for being a Star Wars game. I think this game in particular has a gameplay style that is similar to other types of games, but the amount of moves, the ways you can use your magics or whatever, if you want to call it your force powers, in that type of category for video games, it's still on another level and very different and more varied. And it has so much more depth than a lot of video games I've played. I played on PS5, so I really did not experience many bugs at all. No game crashes for me at all. This game flowed nice. It looked great. The characters were wonderful. The story was excellent. Overall, I like this much better than Fallen Order as a complete package. I think it's heads and tails over what we got gameplay wise. Replayability, it's much higher here. I can't wait to go back and 100% everything. I'm actually going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I love this game, and I think it ranks up there for me personally amongst my top 3, 4 Star Wars games of all time. Those are our thoughts on Jedi Survivor. Thank you so much for watching our kind of late but spoiler filled review. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our discussion of all the plot and the characters and everything like that. Make sure you leave your comments below on all of your favorite characters, your favorite plot points, things you like, things you didn't like. If you haven't, make sure you're liking the video and you're subscribing. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we have a lot of things coming out here in the future. We have a tier list about our favorite Legends characters and least favorite that we think should or shouldn't be in canon. We'll also have reviews of the rest of High Republic Phase 2 coming out. If you haven't checked out our Dark Force Rising review, we just posted that one. And again, for more Survivor coverage, if you're interested in watching us play the game, we will be playing it every single Tuesday and Thursday. We'll let you know on the community tab what time of day we are going to go live. But make sure you join us. We will answer your questions live. And if you're interested in voting in our community bracket, we are currently doing Star Wars characters. There are 64 characters left in the first round. Make sure you're voting and letting your voices be heard. Otherwise, your favorite character might get voted out. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.